Hello, how are you? I hope you are well. Today is yet another series of our discussion. Yesterday, we discussed about the traditional systems of government and their systems. These are the way of administration, systems of administration that existed before the coming of Europeans, that is the pre-colonial period. There is how Africans were governed before the Europeans came, and we discussed these two systems, the centralized system and the decentralized system of government, whereby we said that centralized system of government is when we have one person governing a community, whereas the decentralized system of government is when several peoples are the one who are involved in the governing of a community. And in this case, therefore, it means that it was a consensus basis, whereby we say that a consensus is a mutual agreement. And so we discussed about examples of communities that were being governed through a centralized system, examples of the Nyamwezi chiefdom by the chief, the old Ghana kingdom, and the Khoi or the Hottentots of South Africa. We also went further ahead and looked at the Khoisan, the Khois and the San, whereby we identified their different systems of government. The Khoi having a centralized system led by a chief, whereas the San have a decentralized system led by a council of elders, and decision making was a consensus basis. This system of the San or the Bushmen is similar to that of the Ameru. And so our topic of discussion today is in the Old Kingdom of Ghana, because the years was a centralized system. I'm not going to be discussing about the entire kingdom. I'm going to be majoring in the important bits that are tested in the exam, the bits that are important for a candidate. The first thing that you ought to understand pertaining the kingdom of Old Ghana is its location. With the help of a map of Africa, we need to first of all identify the location of the kingdom of Old Ghana. We say that it is located between River Senegal, this is River Senegal, and at the bend of River Niger. So the kingdom of Old Ghana was located around there. That is one of the most important things, its location. If it is brought to you in an exam, can you identify it? Yes, you can. All you need to know, it is the River Senegal and the River Niger. The second important thing, it is to identify the headquarter of the Old Kingdom of Ghana. The headquarter of the Old Kingdom of Ghana was at, I know you have discussed this with your teachers, but it's important you keep on reminding yourself. It was at Walata. This is the headquarter, and in some other books it is also called the Kumbi Sale. The Kumbi Sale is the headquarter. The Kumbi Sale. Walata is more of a trading point where gold was being mined, but the Kumbi Sale is more of a headquarter. The other important bit is on the economic aspect. The kingdom of old Ghana started as a very small kingdom, and it grew to a big and a very powerful kingdom. Why is this so? Because the king who had a title of Ghana, Ghana means a war leader. It therefore tells us the king was leading the warriors and his army in battles of conquering weak neighbors. And these weak neighbors, we shall come to discuss them. So, the kingdom of old Ghana was being led by a king. That is why it is a centralized system of government. And we have said that it started as a small kingdom. Why? Because the king led the army to conquer other neighboring states, and therefore it later grew into a very large kingdom. The main reason for its growth, it is because the kingdom was able to control the trans-Saharan trade. The Sahara is around here. This is the largest desert in Africa. And therefore, when we say trans-Sahara, it means across Sahara. Yeah, you can see the traders from Kingdom of Ghana and other areas in Africa passing through the Sahara to trade with the other peoples from North Africa. And the engagement in the trans-Saharan trade is the main reason as to why the kingdom expanded. The other important bit is on the conquered states, or how was the kingdom divided. We have said there was the original Ghana, where the king and the royal family and the Muslims lived. So, original Ghana is the Ghana that existed before the conquering of the weak states. Then, the conquered states were called the vassal states. And these vassal states were allowed to continue ruling themselves as long as they paid tribute to the king. The vassal states were allowed to continue ruling themselves as long as they paid tribute, as long as they were loyal to the king. Tribute by giving their son to go and serve in the king's palace, and contributing army when they are called upon by the king or when there is an emergence of a war, and also paying taxes to the king. That is how Ghana was divided. We have said that there is the original Ghana, which is also referred as the proper Ghana. I think it is very important before we proceed to identify the founders of this kingdom. These are the Soninke. Soninke are the founders. The Soninke are the Mande or the Madinka. These are the people of West Africa. You know them. The Susu, the Barbaras, yeah, are the Made speakers. So the Soninke were the original founders of the old kingdom of Ghana. The other important bit, it is the roles of the king. The role of the king, or the duties. A role is a duty or a function. The first is that He was leading the people in war. He controlled the trade. He was also the most senior or supreme judge. Those are some of the main importances, or sorry, not importances, the main duties or functions of the king. Therefore, after discussing these roles, what is the other important thing? It is to identify the main reason for the decline. A decline is also called a fall of the kingdom. The main reason as to why the kingdom declined, it is because of the attack by the Almoravids. Attack by the Almoravids. This was the main reason why the kingdom declined. The Almoravids were the people from the north. Yeah. So Almoravids have another name as the people from the north. There are some other books which call them the Berbers. The Berbers. When you are discussing on the topic of tourism in Africa, you talk about Morocco, and here is where we find the Berber villages. What did the Berber do, the Berbers or the Almoravids? They simply took over, they wanted to control the lucrative trans-Saharan trade. This trans-Saharan trade was very important. It gave the kingdom, the needed resources to equip the army for buying guns and paying the army so that they could be able to conquer their neighbors and protect the traders, because that was also one of the functions of the king, controlling the trade. So the peoples from the north, we are calling them the peoples from the north because they occupied this area and they wanted to control this kingdom here, the trans-Saharan trade. So when they attacked the kingdom of old Ghana, what was their purpose? What was their aim? It was to control the trans-Saharan trade. And when they took over the control of the trans-Saharan trade, then it definitely means that the kingdom fell or it collapsed. Other reasons are there was some resistance by the conquered states. They did not want to be ruled. Nobody wants to be ruled. And the other reason, it is because of things like leadership wrangles, because remember, in the old kingdom of Ghana, there was no elections. The king was being succeeded in a matrilineal system. The eldest son, the son of the eldest son succeeded the king. And that is why we are calling it a matrilineal system, similar to that of the Nyamwezi. The opposite of matrilineal is patrilineal system. So, if you enjoy and benefit from these lessons, as I always tell you as I come towards the conclusion of my lesson, share and subscribe. Thank you. Stay safe.